So, right after dealing with all the different variants and releasing it through my mucus and all that, blowing my nose, really more than not, I'm making some soup, like heavily salted soup with a few spices and some onions and some chicken legs. And then I'm going to add in my crackers with eggs and water. So I'm going to now that I have released the programming, the excess programming, and I have now the new programming in my body, I'm going to cement it with the salt in with the food. And so that's how I'm going to react to every single variant, is after I release it through my mucus, through my nose, okay, and blow it and let everything express itself, let everything get released. Whatever's left inside, I'm then going to salt in with salty soup. And I think that should be everyone else's mantra at some point, or habit, is to salt in after they have allowed their body to assimilate to the new viruses. And so then when I was listening to like Netflix, like I watched Anatomy of a Scandal, which is on Netflix, very good show, you guys got to watch that. And then watching Madam Secretary, which is by Tay Leone, and it's definitely a political propaganda show. They even had Hillary Clinton and Madeleine Albright in there playing a specific part, and they're discussing how they deal with foreign relations and where they want to take the world and humanity and all that. And so yeah, there's a lot of propaganda, but those two shows, which is interesting, the segment of the Madam Secretary talking about mutually assured destruction through nuclear war, and then Anatomy of a Scandal, which just came out, also had that term mutually assured destruction. And it was her last monologue at the end of the movie. I think, what's her name? I forget her name, but she's a popular English actress. But it's synchronicity, because it seems like it's so coincidental that those two terms were used in two different shows, that one was already out there, on USA or AMC, and it's just repeating, and now it's they're using that term yet again in another new show. And then I took that on and I realized that, yeah, mutually assured destruction is also in the left wing and the right wing party. And then realizing this whole pollution, the whole clean burning energy and all that, yeah, I get it on one end, of course, but when they're blaming the industries, which, yeah, they also have a part in this because of their emissions and they're violating EPA standards and whatever, but then you have people emitting who have emissions themselves who are contributing to the toxicity in the environment. Because if you're blaming Chevron or any of these industrial companies for all the toxic sludge that they're releasing into the streams and the rivers, and it's all antibiotic because it's causing a destruction to the life, the imbalances in that microbiome. Imagine what those people who are doing all the different plant-based therapies and all the elemental-based therapies and all their herbal remedies and detoxes and supplements and all of that, and they're on low sodium diets, so they're not burning clean energy. And what are they releasing? They're releasing the toxic emissions from their own lymphatic system, which is one huge heavy negative. And so then even those that are all about, the Green Party and saving the planet and riding their bike to work and back and promoting, low emission standards from their cars, are taking all these different therapies that are antibiotic, that are against life, against biodiversity. They're taking it against their own life and against their children's lives, and then they cough it out. And then they're then causing the destruction and the mutations within their environment just from their simple walking and riding their bike and sweating out all of their lymphatic system on everybody, and they're not burning clean fuel because they're on low sodium diets. Salt is purification, salt water is purification, and then the FDA lowering the amount of sodium chloride 12% in the food supply. They're making everybody's emissions toxic, warranting more cures, because when your body is defending itself against something antibiotic, such as all the cures market, you're developing a defense, a T cell, B cell memory that's attacking the very lifestyle and the very life that's within you. And so when you don't have people dying and reproducing on a massive scale, that's happening right now, and many people are dying more than reproducing. Well, they're reproducing, but kids are having deficits. They have major hormonal imbalances. And so now you have all of these heavy negatives in the environment warranting more cures. So riding your bike to work isn't doing shit if you're using something that is against your own biodiversity. Because the biodiversity isn't just out there in the plant world and the animal world in your environment, like outside with the squirrels and the birds and the different vegetation. It's also your microbiome. So you're taking anti-parasitics, antivirals, antibacterials, anti-inflammatories, antifungals. You are using weapons against your own human DNA, against life. And that translates into the environment. So when you're taking all your antibiotics and then you're coughing into the wind, and now a plant is getting your antibiotics and maybe use plant-based therapies, you have just now attacked that plant with your own lymphatic system. And so then both the left and the right are contributing to the destruction of their own planet. But it's ironic that Ralph Nader and all the Green Party activists are saying that they're blaming each other or blaming the fossil fuels, which, yes, I understand the whole fossil fuels and how that also does not contribute to clean burning energy. And so then you have these two factions at war with each other when they're both contributing to the destruction of not only themselves, but also the planet. That's the irony of it all. And that's what I'm saying. We're in a huge reset. And someone has given you the arguments to distract you from the real root cause. All the cures market is what causes the destruction of your planet. Every single time you use a cure against your human DNA, but even doing the jelly juice, when you're taking so many saltwater flushes and you're trapping all that toxicity inside of you so you don't feel any pain, you're still toxic. You haven't changed anything about the way you look at the world. I see it in my Facebook with some of the jelly juice crowd. They're still attacking their politicians. I know what they're doing. They're doing so much jelly juice that they're trapping all those little microbes that are working against them inside their body. No different than when you're taking salt to trap a ghost. That's all the allegory in the Vampire Diaries and all the ghosts and all the different spirits. That's why they're using salt to trap ghosts. They put like a salt boundary and it traps the ghost. But it's the same thing that when you're using so much salt water, and yes, you may have initially released a bunch of demons. Now I'm using that, tongue-in-cheek demons. But then you go overboard and you trap the demons within. Okay, so they're kind of chilling out, whatever. But they still do rear their ugly heads, and they are replicating in the background. So when the cures wear off, then they wreak more havoc and cause more destruction within. And then you try to cure them and trap them again inside your body. They're cannibalizing you. And so, yeah, and then if you do so much jelly juice too, then you lose substance, or so much salt water, you lose substance, and you're trapping the little microbes within. So you have to feel these variants that come through when you get attacked by somebody else's microbes because of all the cures and the therapies are under. You have to allow it to release through your mucus, because you're supposed to assimilate on some aspect. You're supposed to assimilate to a certain point with your environment. You're not supposed to be cured in your environment, and you're not supposed to be resistant against your environment. You're supposed to assimilate, but you have your own defense system that if it's working properly and it's allowed to fluctuate with the environment, then you can take on intelligence with food, with your environment, with all the different parasites and the plants and all that stuff. But yeah, when you're trapping those microbes within because of all the therapies and the cures and even so much jelly juice, because people are doing that too, then your lymphatic system is going to cannibalize you. And I've finally, thank God, I figured out yesterday, just clinched it as far as bringing together the hypocrisy between the left and the right wing party and their claims to be all about clean burning energy and saving the planet and all this other stuff, but the biomedical, the biochemical, the bioengineering pollution is what's causing the destruction of not only mankind, but also the earth, because humans are projecting toxic emissions. And so then California can't say shit when they're full of biotechnology. So California, you're all about the whole save the planet green machine, and yet you are the hub of freaking the cures market, causing more toxic emissions from humans using all of your plant-based, element-based therapies. And I knew there was hypocrisy in California, and there's hypocrisy in even, over here in Ohio, and hypocrisy everywhere. But let me call it out. Not that I'm going to really stop the machine, because people are so much at a deficit and they just want some kind of peace that they'll do anything to have a peace, but eventually it'll turn into rest and peace. But I wanted to point out that specific concept. That it's not going to matter if you ride your fucking bike to work and you're taking cannabis every day or using prescription drugs against yourself and your children's bodies, and then you are steadily releasing those emissions, attacking your microbiome internally and externally. And so no, riding your bike to work or, I don't know, using whatever recycling everything is not going to make a fucking difference when you're destroying yourself and destroying your children and destroying your community with your toxic emissions from your own lymphatic system because of all the cures and the prescription drugs and all the different remedies. And so there you go. That's the world that you live in. Now that you know, not that you're going to stop someone from taking the remedies, you can't. But now you know how to protect yourself, even from your friends and family. And when you go hang out with your friends and family, you'll be under attack at the microbial level. At least you recognize it. And you will assimilate. And so the more you assimilate to your environment, the more intelligent you're going to be. And then you realize, then you wake up to the actual simulation you're in, and then hopefully you survive it. All right, bye.